Due to an earthquake, my house broke down, so I pleaded to my parents, could we stay at your place with my 3-year-old daughter? They said, only if you pay rent, and without the child, no space for her. I said, where would she go? She's 3 and can't even walk properly. When I was about to mention my sister's kids each had a room plus a game room, my mother shouted angrily and said, I said what I said, do not argue. My sister smirked and said, my kids will always be the favorites, now dump that brat if you want to stay. Then my father slammed the door in our faces. I didn't cry. Just said, noted. 3 days later, they were regretting everything. The earthquake hit at 3:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. I know because I was staring at my phone when the entire world started shaking like we were inside a snow globe being rattled by an angry toddler. My daughter Emma's scream pierced through the rumbling, and I grabbed her from her bed, stumbling into the doorway as everything we owned crashed around us. 47 seconds that felt like hours. When it stopped, my hands wouldn't stop trembling for another 20 minutes. The structural engineer came the next morning. His face told me everything before his clipboard did. Foundation cracked in 6 places. Weight-bearing walls compromised. The back corner of the house had literally sunk 4 inches into the ground. Red tag on the door. Condemned. We had 72 hours to get our essentials out before they sealed it completely. I'm a single mom. Emma's father, Derek, took off when I was 5 months pregnant after cleaning out our joint savings account. I haven't heard from him since except through his lawyer when I tried to get child support. Turns out you can't garnish wages from someone working under the table in another state. I work as a dental hygienist making $42,000 a year. After taxes, rent on my now destroyed house, Emma's daycare, car payment, insurance, student loans, and basic necessities, I had maybe $300 in savings. Maybe. My landlord's insurance would cover his losses eventually. Mine? I'd been trying to afford renter's insurance for 2 years. The month I finally had enough extra to start a policy was the month Emma needed tubes in her ears. Priorities. So I did what I thought any daughter would do. I called my parents. My mother answered on the 4th ring. Jessica, do you know what time it is? Mom, there was an earthquake. Our house is condemned. Emma and I need somewhere to stay for a few weeks while I figure things out. Silence. Then my father's voice in the background. Who is it, Margaret? It's Jessica. Something about her house. More muffled conversation. My mother came back on the line. Your father and I need to discuss this. Call back tomorrow. She hung up. I stared at my phone in the parking lot of the motel where we'd spent the previous night. $78 for a room that smelled like cigarettes and desperation. Emma was inside watching cartoons on a television that only got 3 channels. I had 2 more nights there before my credit card maxed out. I called back the next day at exactly 2 p.m. like my mother had specified in her text. My father answered this time. His voice had that flat quality it gets when he's already made a decision and is preparing to defend it. Jessica, your mother and I talked. You can stay here, but there are conditions. Relief flooded through me. Dad, thank you so much. Will be. I'm not finished. You'll pay rent. $500 a month. That's significantly below market rate, so don't complain. And Emma cannot stay here. The relief evaporated. What do you mean Emma can't stay? She's 3 years old. Where would she go? That's not our problem to solve. You made your choices, and children are expensive. Your mother and I are retired. We've earned our peace and quiet. She can't even walk properly yet. She's still doing physical therapy from her hip dysplasia. My voice cracked despite my best efforts. Emma had been born with developmental dysplasia of the hip. 18 months of braces and now twice weekly physical therapy that insurance barely covered. She had a slight limp that the doctors promised would improve with treatment. Then you should have thought about that before becoming a single mother. His words landed like physical blows. Your sister manages to raise 3 children with her husband. Maybe you should have been more careful about who you reproduced with. I could hear my sister Madison's voice in the background, that particular tone she gets when she's pretending to be helpful. Is that Jessie? Tell her she can leave Emma with foster care temporarily if she needs to. Something cold settled in my chest. Dad, Madison's kids each have their own bedroom in your house, plus the entire game room you converted the basement into. There's a 5-bedroom house, and you're telling me there's no space for one 3-year-old who barely takes up. Jessica Marie, do not tell me how to manage my own household. My mother had grabbed the phone. Her voice had that shrill edge that meant she was done pretending to be reasonable. I said what I said. Do not argue with me. You are not entitled to our space just because you made poor life choices. Poor life choices? I got pregnant by someone I thought loved me. It makes you irresponsible. Madison's voice came through clearly now. She must have been standing right next to our mother. My kids will always be the favorites, Jessie. You know why? Because Tyler and I did things the right way. Marriage first, stable careers, financial planning. Now dump that brat if you want to stay here, or figure it out yourself. You're 31 years old. Time to act like an adult. My sister is 2 years younger than me. She married Tyler Chen during their senior year of college when she got pregnant with their first. He's a software engineer making 6 figures. Madison doesn't work, but she calls herself a homemaker and wellness influencer on Instagram, where she posts pictures of elaborate lunches and color-coordinated playrooms. Her 3 kids are 8, 6, and 4. Perfect spacing, as she likes to remind everyone, even though that first one was definitely unplanned. I heard my father's heavy footsteps approaching the phone. We've said our piece, Jessica. You have until tomorrow to decide. Come alone with first and last month's rent in cash, or make other arrangements. Dad, please just listen. The dial tone answered me. Then my mother sent a text 30 seconds later. We're doing you a favor by even offering. Most parents wouldn't do that much. Don't be ungrateful. I sat in that motel room with Emma sleeping beside me, her small hand clutching her stuffed elephant. She'd gotten it from my mother 2 Christmases ago, back when my parents at least pretended to care equally about all their grandchildren. Madison's kids had gotten a trampoline, a swing set, and $300 each in savings bonds that year. Emma got a $20 stuffed animal from the grocery store with the tag still showing the clearance sticker. I didn't cry. Somewhere between my father's flat rejection and Madison's smirking cruelty delivered through phone speakers, something fundamental shifted. The part of me that had spent 31 years trying to earn their approval, trying to be good enough, trying to understand why my sister always got more, just stopped. I opened my laptop. $73 in checking. $41 in savings. Credit card maxed at $2,000. No emergency fund. But I had something they'd underestimated. I'm really good at my job, and I keep meticulous records. See, my parents aren't retired because they saved wisely. My father was a regional manager for a manufacturing company before he got forced out in his early 60s for workplace harassment. The settlement was sealed, but I'd helped him file paperwork during that time. I knew the exact amount, $340,000, paid out over 2 years. My mother worked as a school administrator until she decided being a full-time grandmother to Madison's children was more fulfilling. They live off that settlement money, my father's pension, and Social Security while claiming they're living modestly. That house they refused to let my daughter into? I helped them buy it. Not financially, because at 23 I was drowning in student loans from dental hygiene school. But I spent 6 weeks of my summer vacation between my first and second year helping them renovate it so they could get better resale value on their old place. Painting, spackling, cleaning, staging. Madison was in Europe that summer with Tyler. A graduation present from his parents. The game room in the basement that was for Madison's children exclusively? I'd paid for half the flooring. $1,200 that I'd saved up to get my car's transmission fixed. My father said it was an emergency, that they'd pay me back within 3 months. That was 5 years ago. I started making phone calls. First to my boss, Dr. Patricia Brennan. She answered on the second ring. Jessica? Is everything okay? I explained the situation quickly, efficiently, without emotion. Patricia listened. When I finished, she said, "Come stay in my rental property. My tenants moved out last month, and I haven't listed it yet. 2 bedrooms, fully furnished. You can stay rent-free for 3 months while you sort out insurance and housing. After that, we'll work out a payment plan you can actually afford." Dr. Brennan, I can't. You're the best hygienist I've had in 15 years. Half my patients request you specifically. That's worth more than 3 months of rent on a property that's sitting empty anyway. Besides, I met Emma at the Christmas party. She's a sweetheart. Bring her by the office tomorrow. My daughter's old toys are collecting dust in my garage. I cried then. Finally. Thank you. Second call went to my best friend from dental hygiene school, Monica Harris. She's a dental hygienist too, works across town at a pediatric practice. Before I could finish explaining, she cut me off. Stop. I'm coming to get you and Emma right now. You're staying with Jerome and me tonight, and tomorrow we're moving you into wherever you're going. Also, Madison is a witch and your parents are terrible. I've been saying this for years. You have been saying that. Because it's true. Remember your graduation when they showed up 2 hours late because they didn't want to miss Madison's college play? Your play wasn't even important, it was some random Thursday performance. You were graduating. I had forgotten that. Or maybe I'd trained myself not to remember things like that. Monica and her husband arrived an hour later with dinner, coloring books for Emma, and a bottle of wine for after Emma went to sleep. We sat in that dingy motel room eating Chinese takeout while Emma showed Jerome her elephant. He pretended to have a full conversation with it, complete with different voices. Emma belly laughed so hard she got the hiccups. Your parents are idiots, Jerome said after Emma crashed hard at 8:30, exhausted from giggling. That kid is pure joy. They think she's defective because of the hip dysplasia. I poured myself more wine. Madison made some comment at Christmas about how her children were all born perfect, and my mother agreed. Emma was right there. She might have been too, but she understood enough. Monica's face went hard. I take it back. Which is too kind for Madison. And your parents can rot. The next morning, Monica and Jerome helped us collect what we could from my tagged house. Clothes, Emma's toys, important documents, photo albums. The furniture was cheap stuff that wasn't worth paying for storage. We moved everything into Dr. Brennan's rental by noon. It was a small cottage-style house with a fenced backyard, hardwood floors, and enough sunlight to make Emma squeal when she saw her new room. Purple. She pointed at the lavender walls. My favorite. It was actually pink she loved most, but I wasn't going to correct her. She was happy. That was enough. I texted my parents that evening, found other arrangements. Thank you for clarifying where we stand. My mother responded immediately, there's no need to be dramatic, Jessica. We were trying to help within our limitations. I didn't respond. Instead, I blocked my sister's number and muted my parents. Not blocked entirely, just muted. I wanted records of what they sent. Here's where my parents miscalculated, they thought I needed them more than they needed me. My father has type 2 diabetes that he manages poorly. Every 3 months, he needs someone to drive him to his endocrinologist appointments because the medication they're adjusting makes him dizzy. I've been that driver for 6 years. Madison lives 45 minutes away and has never once offered. My mother has severe anxiety about medical procedures. Every time she needs blood work, a mammogram, dental work, anything involving a medical professional, she needs someone to come with her. Not just for transportation, but to sit there and hold her hand and ask the questions she's too nervous to ask. I've been that person since I was 18 years old. They have a timeshare in Florida that they visit every January and March. Madison watches their house during these trips, but I'm the one who has the spare key to their safe deposit box, who knows where their important documents are kept, who has power of attorney for healthcare decisions because Madison refused to take on that responsibility. Too stressful, she'd said 3 years ago when they were updating their wills. Jessie's better at that stuff anyway. She's so organized. Translation: let Jessica do the emotional labor. Madison's too busy being the favorite. My father's appointment was scheduled for 3 days after they slammed the door on us. Literally and figuratively. I knew because I'd scheduled it for him 6 weeks earlier. He can never remember to do it himself. His primary care physician, Dr. Kowalski, is someone I've met multiple times. Nice guy, very thorough. He has his receptionist call me the day before my father's appointments to confirm I'll be bringing him in. It's routine at this point. The receptionist called my cell at 9 a.m. Hi Jessica, just confirming you'll be driving Richard in for his 3 o'clock tomorrow? Actually, Brenda, I won't be able to make it. My housing situation changed unexpectedly, and I'm dealing with that. Richard will need to make other arrangements. Pause. Oh. Does he know? Because his last 3 appointments were rescheduled because he showed up dizzy and couldn't drive himself home safely. He's aware of the situation that created this change, yes. I'm sure he'll figure something out. I could hear the concern in her voice. Okay. I'll note this in his chart. I hope everything works out with your housing, Jessica. You take care. Thank you, Brenda. You too. My mother's dentist appointment was that same week. Thursday morning, routine cleaning. She'd been texting me the night before, anxious spirals about how she was convinced they'd find cavities and she'd need drilling and she couldn't handle it alone. The text came through even though I'd muted her. 18 messages between 9 p.m. and midnight. Jessica, you're still coming with me tomorrow, right? The appointment is at 9. You'll be there? I can't go alone. You know I can't. Jessica, answer me. This is really immature. I know you're upset, but you're being childish. Your father needs his ride on Friday. Don't be selfish. Jessica Marie, answer your mother. If you're trying to manipulate us, it won't work. We were helping you. You're being ungrateful. Madison said you're having a tantrum. Grow up. Fine. Be that way. Don't come crawling back when you need something. I didn't respond to any of them. Thursday morning at 8:30, my mother called. I let it go to voicemail. She called again at 8:35, 8:40, 8:45. 4 voicemails, each one progressively more frantic. I listened to them while feeding Emma breakfast. Jessica, where are you? My appointment is in 30 minutes. This is ridiculous. You can't just abandon your mother because you didn't get your way. I'm having a panic attack. You need to come here right now. Your father is calling Madison. She'll come get me. We don't need you anyway. Madison lived 45 minutes away. The dental office was 20 minutes from my parents' house. My mother would have to leave immediately to make it, and Madison would need to drop everything, get her 3 kids to school, and drive across town during rush hour. I texted my mother at 8:55, Madison will help you. You don't need me anyway. At 10:30, Madison called. I answered this time. Jessie, what the hell? She sounded stressed. Unusual for Madison. Mom completely melted down at the dentist. The hygienist had to stop the cleaning. They rescheduled her. I had to miss my hot yoga class and deal with Mom sobbing in the parking lot for 40 minutes. That sounds difficult. My voice was flat. I hope you can make it to Dad's appointment Friday. He gets dizzy from the medication adjustments. I can't. Dylan has a soccer tournament 2 hours away. Tyler and I have been planning this for months. Then Dad should probably reschedule. I'm sure Dr. Kowalski will understand. Jessica, stop being petty. So Mom and Dad weren't perfect about the house situation. They're old. They don't handle stress well. Madison, they told me to abandon my 3-year-old daughter with hip dysplasia so I could pay them rent to sleep on their couch. You told me to dump her in foster care. These aren't stress responses. These are choices you all made. Oh my God, you're going to hold this grudge forever, aren't you? This is exactly why you're alone. Derek left because you're exhausting. I hung up. Blocked her number this time. Fully blocked. My father tried calling Friday morning. 6 calls before his appointment. I sent one text. Madison said she'll help you figure it out. He had to reschedule. According to a text from my mother that evening, he tried to drive himself, got dizzy in the parking lot, and had to have the office call an Uber to take him home. Medicare doesn't cover Uber rides to medical appointments. That round trip probably cost him $60. Saturday, my parents showed up at Dr. Brennan's rental property. I don't know how they got the address. Maybe they called the dental office pretending to be me. Maybe they hired someone. Doesn't matter. I was in the backyard with Emma. She was learning to use sidewalk chalk, carefully drawing wobbly circles and calling them Easter eggs. The doorbell rang. Monica was visiting, helping me organize the kitchen. She answered it. Can we help you? I heard her say. We're looking for Jessica. This is her car in the driveway. My mother's voice, tight and controlled. Jessica isn't available right now. That's our daughter. We need to speak with her. My father, using his I'm being reasonable so you should listen voice. Monica is 5'0" and doesn't back down from anyone. Your daughter is busy. You should have called first. Young lady, you don't understand the situation. My mother again, turning on her elementary school principal tone. There's been a misunderstanding, and we need to resolve it. The only misunderstanding is you thinking you're welcome here. I heard my father's sharp intake of breath. Excuse me? You told Jessica to abandon her disabled toddler. Those are your words, not mine, because Jessica told me exactly what you said. Now you're showing up unannounced at her home. That's harassment. That's our daughter. Who you rejected 3 days ago. Interesting definition of family you've got. I walked around from the backyard, Emma on my hip. My parents saw us and my mother's face crumpled into what was supposed to look like relief. Jessica. Thank God. We've been so worried. About what? I kept my voice level, conversational. Emma hid her face in my shoulder. She didn't recognize them well enough to be excited. They'd visited maybe 4 times in her entire life, always briefly, always with an excuse about why they couldn't stay long. About you. My father stepped forward. Taking off like that without telling us where you went. Ignoring our calls. You had us terrified. I texted you that I found other arrangements. You responded? There was nothing else to discuss. My mother's expression shifted. Less worry, more irritation. Jessica, this has gone on long enough. You've made your point. We understand you were upset about the house rules, but you can't just cut us off because you didn't like our answer. House rules. I repeated the words like I was tasting them. Is that what we're calling it? You're being dramatic. Madison must have driven separately because she appeared from behind a minivan parked on the street. Tyler was with her, looking deeply uncomfortable. Their 3 kids stayed in the van, tablets glowing. Mom and Dad were trying to set boundaries, and you're acting like they committed a crime. What boundaries were those, exactly? Monica crossed her arms. The abandon your disabled toddler boundary? The pay us rent while your sister's kids live here free boundary? Madison's children have a father who contributes. My mother's voice pitched higher. Jessica chose to have a child with someone unreliable. Derek lied about everything from his job to his criminal record. I spoke calmly, still holding Emma. I found out he had 3 DUIs and 2 arrest warrants when I was 7 months pregnant. The choice was staying with a dangerous person or leaving. I chose Emma's safety over your approval of my relationship status. See? Madison gestured at me like I was evidence in a trial. This is what she does. She makes everything sound worse than it is so she can play the victim. Madison, what part am I exaggerating? I looked directly at my sister. Tell me which part is inaccurate. That you told me to dump my brat? That mom and dad said there was no room for Emma in a 5-bedroom house? That dad literally slammed the door in our faces while we were homeless? Tyler winced. He'd been trying to fade into the background, but that detail made him flinch. Good. He should be uncomfortable. My father tried a different approach. Softening his voice, reaching out like he wanted to touch my shoulder. I stepped back. Sweetheart, we handled that badly. Your mother and I were in shock about the earthquake, worried about you, and we didn't communicate well. We're sorry. You're sorry. Yes. We should have phrased things differently. Should have been more welcoming. But you have to understand, we panicked. The house is full with Madison's family visiting so often, and we're not young anymore. A toddler is a lot of work. Emma wasn't going to be work. She was going to be your granddaughter needing temporary shelter during a crisis. But you're right that she would have been in the way of Madison's kids having their dedicated playroom. That's not fair. Madison's face flushed. My children were there first. They've had those rooms for years. You can't expect them to give up their space for. She stopped herself. Everyone heard where that sentence was going. For what, Madison? Finish it. I waited. Emma had fallen asleep against my shoulder, exhausted from playing. For my daughter? For the defective one? For the burden? I didn't say that. You were about to. My mother jumped in, trying to redirect. Jessica, we came here to apologize and work things out. Can't we go inside and talk about this like adults? No. The single word seemed to stun them. My mother blinked. What? No, you can't come inside. No, we're not working this out. No, I don't accept your apology. Jessica Marie, you don't mean that. My father's voice hardened. We're your parents. You can't just cut us off. You cut me off first. You told me my daughter wasn't welcome in your home. That's not something I'm going to forget or forgive because you decided it was inconvenient to lose your medical appointment chauffeur. My mother's mouth dropped open. Is that what you think this is about? Your father's appointment? You called me 18 times Thursday night about your dental cleaning. Dad tried 6 times Friday morning. 0 calls between Tuesday when you slammed the door on us and Wednesday when you needed something. The math isn't complicated. We were giving you space to calm down. My mother's hands fluttered. We thought you needed time to stop being emotional. I'm perfectly calm. And I've had plenty of time to think about what kind of relationship we actually have. Turns out when you remove my usefulness from the equation, there's nothing left. Tyler finally spoke up. His voice was quiet, almost apologetic. Jessica, maybe everyone should take a few days and revisit this when emotions aren't so high. I actually laughed. Tyler, you seem like a decent guy. I hope you're paying attention to how your wife and her family treat people who don't serve a purpose. Might be relevant someday. Madison's face went white, then red. Are you threatening my marriage? I'm observing patterns. You told me to dump my brat. Your parents told me she wasn't welcome. Now you're all here because you need me to do things for you. When those things stop being needed, where do you think you'll rank in the family hierarchy? That's completely different. Tyler and I are stable. We're not, she gestured vaguely at me. We're not whatever you are. A single mother who learned her family's love is conditional? I shifted Emma to my other hip. She stirred but didn't wake. You're right. That is different. I learned it at 31. Better late than never. My father's expression shifted to something uglier. You're going to regret this, Jessica. Family is family. You don't have anyone else. I have Emma. I have friends who showed up without conditions. I have a boss who offered me housing without demanding I abandon my child. Turns out family is the people who actually act like family, not the ones who share DNA. My mother tried one more time, tears starting. Real or performed, I couldn't tell anymore. Jessica, please. We love you. We love Emma. We made a mistake and we're trying to fix it. If you loved Emma, you would have opened your door when she needed shelter. If you loved me, you would have helped instead of adding conditions designed to make me choose between my dignity and a roof. You don't love us. You love the idea of us fitting into convenient boxes where we don't disrupt Madison's perfect family narrative. That's not true. My mother reached toward Emma. I moved back again. We want to be in Emma's life. In your life. Then you should have thought about that before you called her a brat and told me where I ranked in your priorities. I looked at each of them in turn. We're done here. Don't come back. Madison found her voice again. You're really going to do this? Cut off your entire family because we couldn't give you exactly what you wanted the instant you wanted it? I asked for temporary help during an emergency. You told me to abandon my disabled 3-year-old. If you genuinely can't see the difference, that tells me everything I need to know about trying to explain it to you. They left. Eventually. After more arguing, more tears from my mother, more threats about regret from my father, more insults from Madison. Tyler herded them all back to their vehicles while Monica stood guard at the door like a very short, very determined bouncer. When they were finally gone, Monica looked at me. "You okay?" "No." I carried Emma inside, laid her down for her nap. "But I will be." The texts started that evening. My mother, my father, Madison, even Tyler sent one saying he hoped I'd reconsider for Emma's sake. I responded to exactly none of them. I also locked down every privacy setting on my Facebook, Instagram, and any other social media. If they wanted updates on my life, they'd lost that privilege. After 2 days of ignored messages, my mother sent what she clearly thought would be her final devastating blow: "Your father had a medical emergency. He went to the ER tonight because he's been rationing his insulin after missing his appointment. His blood sugar was dangerously high. The doctors stabilized him, but he could have died. I hope you can live with yourself." I called Dr. Kowalski's office. Brenda answered. I explained what happened, asked if my father had actually been admitted or if this was exaggeration. She put me on a brief hold, came back sounding uncomfortable. "Your father did come to the ER 2 nights ago with elevated blood sugar. They stabilized him and sent him home with strict instructions about medication management and a referral for a diabetes education class. He's fine. Shaken, but fine. It was serious, but he wasn't in ketoacidosis like some people might have suggested." "Thank you, Brenda." Jessica? For what it's worth, my daughter is a single mom too. I know how hard it is. You're doing the right thing for Emma. I cried after that call. Not because I felt guilty. Because someone I barely knew showed me more compassion in 30 seconds than my parents had in 3 decades. 1 month later, I got a Facebook message from my mother's sister, Aunt Claire. She lives in Oregon, and we'd always gotten along despite distance. Her message was careful, neutral in tone. "Jessica, your mother told me what happened. I want to hear your side before I form opinions. Would you be willing to call me?" We talked for 2 hours. I told her everything, including things I'd never told anyone about my childhood. The way Madison always got the bigger bedroom, the better birthday parties, the college tuition help while I got student loans. The way my accomplishments were met with "that's nice" while Madison's were celebrated with family dinners. The way Emma's birth was treated like an unfortunate mistake while Madison's children were miracles. Claire listened. At the end, she said, "Your mother and I had the same parents. My father favored her. Everything was easier for Margaret. I spent years trying to understand why I wasn't enough. Eventually I stopped trying and started living my own life. Best decision I ever made." "Did you ever regret it?" "Only that I didn't do it sooner. Jessica, you don't owe them access to Emma just because they're related to her. And you certainly don't owe them your labor after they made it clear what they think of you." Madison says I'm holding a grudge. Madison is her mother's daughter. Of course she can't see the problem. She's never been on the receiving end of it. 3 months after the earthquake, my landlord's insurance finally came through. Enough to cover moving costs and first month's rent at a new place, plus a little extra for the belongings I'd lost. Dr. Brennan insisted I stay in her rental at a reduced rate instead. $800 a month for a 2-bedroom house with a yard. Market rate would have been $1,500 minimum. I used the insurance payout to buy Emma new furniture for her room, replace our damaged clothes and kitchen items, and finally start an actual emergency fund. $3,000 in savings. It felt like winning the lottery. Emma started preschool. A good one, with teachers who understood about her physical therapy needs. She made friends. She learned to write her name. Her limp improved week by week. I got a raise. Not huge, but enough to start rebuilding savings. Monica and Jerome became Emma's honorary aunt and uncle. They showed up for her 3rd birthday with presents and helped her blow out candles. They asked about her therapy progress and celebrated her successes like they mattered. My parents sent cards. Birthday card for Emma with $20 inside. Christmas card with a generic message and a gift card to Target. No phone calls. No requests to visit. No apologies that went deeper than "we're sorry you're upset." Madison sent nothing. Radio silence except for her Instagram, where she posted elaborate birthday parties for her kids and family photos that conspicuously excluded me. Fine by me. My father managed his diabetes on his own. Or Madison helped. I don't know and didn't ask. My mother found someone else to hold her hand at medical appointments. Maybe Madison. Maybe she finally dealt with her anxiety like an adult. Either way, not my problem. A year after the earthquake, my mother sent a letter. Actual handwritten letter, 6 pages. It started with how hurt she was by my behavior, how I'd abandoned them in their time of need, how Emma was growing up without knowing her grandparents. The 4th page was where it got interesting. Apparently, Madison and Tyler were having marriage problems. Money problems specifically. Tyler's company downsized. Madison had no job skills because she'd never needed to work. They were behind on their mortgage. My parents had been helping financially, but their savings were running low. We could really use your help, Jessica. You're good with budgets and financial planning. Maybe you could talk to Madison about finding work? She respects you even if she doesn't always show it. I read that line 3 times. Madison respects me. The sister who told me to dump my brat. Who smirked about her kids being favorites. Who called me exhausting and blamed me for Derek leaving. The letter ended with, family is supposed to be there for each other. We know you're still angry, but Emma needs her grandparents. Don't let your pride keep us apart. I wrote back. One sentence, Emma has everyone she needs. Best of luck with your situation. My mother called, furious. How dare you? After everything we've done for you. What exactly have you done for me, Mom? Itemize it. Because I can itemize what I did for you. She hung up. Called back an hour later, crying. Jessica, please. Madison is falling apart. She needs family right now. She needs her sister. Where was my sister when I needed family? That was different. You had options. So does Madison. She can get a job. Tyler can get a new job. They can downsize. They can make the hard choices I've been making my entire adult life. They'll figure it out. You're really going to abandon your sister? The irony was apparently lost on her. Mom, Madison abandoned me while I was holding my homeless 3-year-old. I'm not abandoning her. I'm just not lighting myself on fire to keep her warm. There's a difference. She sent the family group text instead. The one that included my Aunt Claire, my Uncle Ron, my cousins. The message was long, detailed, painting me as vindictive and cruel. How I'd cut off my parents over a simple disagreement. How I was refusing to help my sister during a crisis. How I was weaponizing Emma by keeping her from her grandparents. Claire responded first, Margaret, I've heard Jessica's side. She asked for emergency shelter and was told to abandon her toddler. That's not a simple disagreement. That's a fundamental rejection. My Uncle Ron, who I'd met maybe 5 times, wait, you told Jessica get rid of Emma. Your granddaughter with hip problems? What the hell, Margaret? My cousin Ashley, this explains so much about family gatherings. I always wondered why Jessica stopped coming. The group text exploded. Turns out other family members had noticed the favoritism over the years. My mother's version of events didn't hold up when people started comparing notes. Madison tried to defend our parents, but Tyler contradicted her on several points. Apparently he'd been uncomfortable with how they treated me for years. The text went on for days. I muted the conversation after the first 50 messages. Didn't need to watch my family dissect my childhood in real time. Claire sent me screenshots of the highlights. My mother blocked her eventually. Madison blocked half the family. Emma turned 4. We had a small party at the park. Monica, Jerome, their 2 kids. Dr. Brennan and her daughter. 3 friends from Emma's preschool. We had cheap cake from the grocery store and played on the playground equipment. Emma's limp was barely noticeable now. She ran and climbed and laughed so hard she got hiccups again. No one from my biological family showed up. I didn't invite them. Emma didn't ask about them. She didn't remember them well enough to miss them. That's the part that finally broke my mother. She showed up at my house crying, without warning, without my father or Madison. Just her, holding a wrapped present and a photo album. Jessica, please. I can't lose my granddaughter. I can't lose you. You made that choice a year ago, Mom. I was scared. Your father was stressed about money, and Madison kept saying you'd figure it out like you always do, and I failed you. I failed Emma. I know I did. But please, can't we try again? Emma was in the backyard. I could hear her singing to herself, making up songs about butterflies. Why now? Why not when we actually needed you? Because I was stupid. Because I listened to your father and Madison instead of my own heart. Because I convinced myself that tough love would make you stronger, not realizing it would just push you away forever. Tough love? I shook my head. Mom, tough love is letting someone struggle so they learn. What you did was abandon us during a crisis and tell me my daughter wasn't worth space in your house. That's not love in any form. She crumpled onto my porch steps, crying harder. I know, and I can't take it back. But I want to try to make it right. However long it takes. Whatever you need from me. I sat down next to her. Not close, but present. What does Madison think about you being here? She's angry. Says I'm betraying her by trying to fix things with you. And Dad? He thinks I'm wasting my time. Says you've proven you're selfish and we're better off without you. Her voice cracked. But I'm not better off. I'm miserable. I've been miserable since you stopped calling. I miss you. I miss Emma. I miss knowing how your life is going. You knew how my life was going when you slammed the door on us. I did. And I chose wrong. Jessica, I'm not asking you to forget. I'm asking for a chance to be better. To be the mother I should have been all along. I looked at her. Really looked. She'd aged in the past year. New lines around her eyes, wore gray in her hair. She looked exhausted and small. I need to think about it. Okay. She stood up, left the present on the porch. That's more than I deserve. Thank you. She left. I opened the present later. It was a photo album she'd made, pictures of me and Emma that she must have copied from my old Facebook post before I locked down my privacy settings. Pictures of Emma as a baby, as a toddler, learning to walk despite her hip problems. Pictures of me at work, at the park, at the grocery store. Candid shots that suggested my mother had been following my life from a distance, caring in whatever limited way she was capable of. The last page had a handwritten note: "I'm sorry I wasn't there when you needed me most. I hope someday you'll let me be there for the moments still to come. Mom, I still haven't decided if I'll give her that chance. Maybe someday. Maybe never." Emma deserves grandparents who chose her from the start, not ones who showed up after realizing they'd made a mistake. My father hasn't apologized. Madison hasn't apologized. Tyler sent one text: "I'm sorry for not speaking up when I should have. You deserved better." I appreciated that more than he probably realized. The house I rent from Dr. Brennan has a garden now. Emma and I planted tomatoes and sunflowers. She waters them every morning, carefully pouring from her small watering can. Her limp is gone completely. Her vocabulary has exploded. She starts kindergarten next year. We're okay. More than okay. We're building a life that doesn't depend on people who view us as conditional members of their family. Sometimes I see Madison's posts. The perfect house they almost lost. The marriage counseling they're attending. The job she finally got at a real estate office, barely making commission. Her kids looking less polished in photos, more like regular children and less like Instagram props. I don't feel vindicated. I just feel tired when I think about them. Emma asked me once if she had grandparents. I told her the truth: she has people who are related to us, but families come in lots of different forms. She has Monica and Jerome. She has Dr. Brennan. She has the nice lady at her preschool who always saves the purple paint for her because it's her favorite color. She thought about it and said, "That's a lot of people who love me." It is, baby. It really is. That's enough. We're enough. Everything else is just noise. 3 days after my parents rejected us, I wasn't crying on their doorstep. I was building something better. Turns out you don't need people who view you as disposable. You just need to stop viewing them as necessary. Best decision I ever made.